St. Mark's Gospel, according to contemporary scripture scholars, is believed to be the first gospel written down. And today's passage seems to demonstrate that, as its material is rather straightforward. It hasn't been edited or polished up in any way whatsoever. And it reveals the all too ordinary human background of Jesus as he revisits his hometown of Nazareth. Recall that after his baptism, Jesus did not return to the town where he grew up, but instead took up residence in Capernaum, some 15 miles away along the Sea of Galilee. There, Jesus emerged from those hidden years in Nazareth, 3 decades of living in obscurity, to reveal that he was a man of extraordinary wisdom and amazing power. But upon his visit home now, as recorded by Mark in this passage, his former neighbors in Nazareth, in spite of what they have heard, are not too favorably impressed by him. How can this local craftsman, so well known to them as he grew up, now be discoursing like an educated scripture scholar? How can the hands of an ordinary handyman from town now have such power that he can lay them on the sick and even the blind and heal them? They are saying among themselves, "We know him. He's Mary's son," which also indicates that there was some question about the paternity of Jesus in his hometown. And his brothers, his stepbrothers, are James and Joseph, Judas and Simon. If we read between the lines, his own family of step-siblings also seem to be questioning who Jesus really is and why is he doing what he's doing. Maybe they were even a bit embarrassed by the notoriety Jesus is gaining. Therefore, it shouldn't surprise us if we were to read on in the gospel that they actually went down to Capernaum one day to ask Jesus to quit his ministry and to come back home with them, because they probably were no longer comfortable with the gossip of their neighbors, and they sensed, probably all too rightly, that all the attention Jesus was calling to himself could in fact be very dangerous to him. So questions regarding the identity, the power, the authority of Jesus started right in his hometown of Nazareth, but they have continued ever since. Is Jesus who he claims to be? How can this seemingly ordinary human being from a no importance town and a humble background say he is the Messiah, the Son of God? Can we blame the people of Nazareth for wondering? Would we really have been ready to believe if we were in that place that day? We certainly have an unfair advantage over them in that we are looking at Jesus from the perspective of the other side of his death and resurrection, where the Nazarenes are looking from the perspective of knowing Jesus from his childhood, who grew to be a young man in their midst. Of course, we also know some of the rest of the story. We know that his mother always put her faith in him, and that at least after his resurrection, his whole family did come to believe in him as well. And how do we know that? Because after his ascension, this stepbrother James would become the first leader of the church in Jerusalem and would remain so for some 3 decades until he himself was martyred. And then his other stepbrother Simon would step in to fill that same role. That is documented history. But we do not know about the rest of the citizens of Nazareth who knew Jesus when, whether their skepticism ever really yielded to faith or not. The questions about Jesus, his historical existence, his true nature, have certainly re-emerged in our own day because we live in an age of skepticism, not an age of faith. Yet Jesus may want it that way because he is not someone on which any of us can remain neutral. He poses a decision to every living human being. Is he truly and fully everything he claims to be, or is he not? Jesus won't settle to be redefined or domesticated to make him acceptable to everyone. He insists that he is not to be seen just as another Confucius or Buddha or Mohammed or any other wise teacher from history. Rather, he is either the Messiah and Lord as he claims to be, or he is an ordinary man from Nazareth who somehow was able to mesmerize many with his words and amaze others with his works. It seems that Jesus himself puts this question as to his true identity before us all, and he doesn't allow us to remain on the fence, because in another passage he advises, "Be either hot or cold, not lukewarm. If you are lukewarm, I will spit you out of my mouth," he says. So as he did with his original disciples, he keeps asking us, who do we say that he is? If we give the correct answer, that he is indeed the Messiah and Lord, then Jesus will test the sincerity of our belief by expecting us to prove it beyond mere words, prove it by our deeds, especially our readiness and our disposition to worship him and to recognize him as miraculously present still among us in the Eucharist as we encounter him now as the risen Lord. If Jesus examines not only our lives, but the lives of all who have supposedly been claimed for him through baptism, as likely he does, if he scrutinizes where we go, what we are saying and doing, how we spend our valuable time and our resources, we wonder, will he find evidence of faith in him? Or as in Nazareth on that day so long ago, will the lack of faith in general still amaze him? At the end of each and every Mass, we are given a mission to go out and glorify the Lord by our lives. Let us renew our commitment to take that mission to heart in the midst of all the ordinary and not so ordinary tasks and happenings of our daily lives, such that the people of our own families and extended families, indeed those of our hometowns, will be able to discern from what they hear us say and see us do that we really do believe in Jesus Christ, and that he and no one else is truly the Lord of our lives.